Finding God in Me. The Parables, Episode 3. Stories of love, compassion, and righteousness. The shepherd's wound. There was once a shepherd who had a flock of 100 sheep. He loved them all deeply, but one little lamb strayed far from the fold, chasing butterflies and forgetting the shepherd's voice. It wandered into a ravine where thorns tore its wool and shadows whispered fear into its heart. Night fell. The flock was safe in the pen, but the shepherd counted only 99. Without hesitation, he left the 99 and climbed the rocky path, calling the name of the lost lamb. Wolves howled in the distance. The shepherd pressed on. His feet bled on the stones. Thorns tore his robe, but still he climbed, calling with a voice full of love. At last he found the lamb trembling in the cold. It was wounded and too weak to walk. The shepherd knelt beside it, cradled it in his arms, and wept, not in anger, but in joy. "I would cross the mountains 1,000 times," he whispered, "just to bring you home." He carried the lamb all the way back, never once setting it down, and when he reached the flock, he did not scold it. Instead, he called the neighbors and said, "Rejoice with me, for what was lost is found." And from that day on, the little lamb never wandered again, not out of fear, but because it had felt the weight of love that would never let go. The Shepherd and the Weary Travelers. There was once a shepherd who lived at the edge of a vast and rocky wilderness. Each morning, he led his sheep out to green pastures and quiet waters, always attentive to their needs. But one day, he saw a group of travelers stumbling along the far ridge, hungry, bruised, and weighed down by burdens. Though they were not his sheep, the shepherd's heart was moved with compassion. He called out to them, "Come and rest here. My pasture is wide enough and my well runs deep." Some hesitated, unsure if they were welcome. But the shepherd walked toward them, lifted the heaviest load from the weakest traveler, and said, "You do not need to earn rest. Rest is given." He fed them with the bread he had, dressed their wounds, and watched over them as they slept in safety. When the morning came, one of his sheep asked, "Why do you care for strangers as you do for us?" The shepherd smiled and said, "To me they were lost sheep, and now they are found." This parable reflects Jesus' compassion as seen throughout the Gospels, welcoming the weary, feeding the hungry, healing the broken, and treating all people as precious. It echoes his words in Matthew 11:28, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." The Two Fires. In a quiet village nestled between two mountains, there lived two men. One was a scholar of the law, known for his many words and perfect observance of rituals. The other was a humble carpenter, quiet and generous, who helped anyone in need. One night, a great storm rolled through the valley, and lightning struck two homes, setting them ablaze. The scholar saw the fire and said, "This must be judgment upon sin. I will pray and fast, for that is righteous." So he knelt and prayed, loud and long, under the safety of his roof. The carpenter, hearing the cries for help, rushed into the rain. He broke down doors, carried out children, and poured water on the flames with his bare hands until they bled. The next morning, villagers gathered in awe of the carpenter's sacrifice. The scholar, seeing their admiration, said, "But I followed the law. I kept myself clean." Just then, Jesus walked into the village. The people turned to him and asked, "Teacher, which man was righteous?" Jesus looked at them and said, "Truly I tell you, righteousness is not in the words we speak, nor the laws we keep to be seen. It is in the love that runs into the fire. Finding God in me, dedicated to bringing people closer to God."